So welcome to wherever it is in the world that you're watching me from today. My name's Samuel from Speak Straight. We help businesses implement Web3 and build community and develop them around that. I'm joined here today by a dear friend of mine, former professional esports commentator, early crypto investor turned day trader with his new channel Decentra Hype for all things crypto news, motivation, business and mindset, as well as giving you daily insights into the crypto and trading worlds. It's Hamilton of Crypto.
What's up? What's up?
What's up?
Happy to be here.
It's good to have you, man. Thank you for jumping on. Thank you. So today we're just going to be taking a dive into the crypto world, how it's relevant in the Web3 landscape, and why this kind of retargeting of attention is really impacting society as a whole today. So start with how you doing today, man? How's things?
Yeah, not bad, not bad. As you know, I don't know what time this will be coming out, but Bitcoin just had a massive pump. So yeah, I've been playing that over the past couple of days. It's been a lot of fun, a lot of profit, and yeah, just riding the wave at the moment.
So I know we've spoken recently about Web3 as a whole, but what is there really anything that's kind of standing out at the moment to you, kind of in the space?
Brutally honest, probably not much. I've seen a few projects here and there, but the issue right now with the space is obviously we're in a massive bear market for crypto, right? And that essentially means we're in a massive downturn for crypto long term. It's been going down for a while now, probably more than a year if I'm going to put a date on it or something, right? So yeah, in terms of the projects, NFT land, metaverse land, Web3, all of that stuff, right? It's something that essentially a lot of projects have just kind of gone under the radar and are building instead of marketing, and that in a sense is actually quite smart when you think about it. You don't want to be pushing to a market or a consumer base that aren't actually interested at the moment. So a lot of people are just out there building. I imagine there's amazing projects out there that are just kind of in the works, waiting for that next big wave up in crypto. So yeah, in terms of what I'm looking at right now, obviously I'm CMO for a project right now that's one of these projects building an MMO RPG. It's called Nightlands, but again, no marketing as of right now. And yeah, just yeah, that would be one of the only projects I'm really aware of right now without shilling too much. But yeah, it's a good project, and I think there's a lot of projects out there that are really going to dominate the space, not just the crypto space, but the mainstream space as well, in a lot of different industries when this crypto stuff recovers.
Oh, lovely. No, that's fantastic. So did you say it was called Nightshade, this MMO RPG? Don't worry, you're not
Nightlands.
gonna be shilling anything.
Yeah.
But is there anything you can kind of give us an insight into? Have you got is there anything we can kind of understand about that, or is it all still really tied up for the moment?
So naturally, it is a crypto project. There's going to be a coin for it, but the main point of it isn't to market it as a crypto project. I feel like a lot of the space in terms of GameFi, in terms of the gaming side of it, and even a lot of the other industries right now are kind of linked and associated with scams, just based on the previous bull run, where there's just been ridiculous billions and billions of dollars lost from scams. So we wanted to avoid a lot of the crypto keywords like GameFi, pay to earn, all that stuff. But what we are going to be doing is implementing the best parts of crypto. So what we're calling it is open currency right now, which is essentially in a game. So for example, RuneScape or an MMO, any of these MMOs that you get, you have coins that you can trade with each other, but you can't take that out of the game. So what we're trying to do is not restrict the trading in the game. So you could trade anything for anything, like the good old days with a lot of these MMOs. But yeah, it's something that you could also take out of the game, and utilizing that fact where you could get items in the game that could be on the blockchain, you could take them out, kind of like Ready Player One, if you remember that movie. Fantastic movie, by the way.
Loved it.
It takes something out of that simulation, bring it into the next simulation, is essentially what I believe the future of a lot of the modern things we see today is. So yeah, bringing that into games early on is going to be a massive advantage for any project out there, and that's essentially what we're trying to implement.
Yeah, 100%. So that's really focusing on that decentralization kind of space of it, really putting the power back in the hands of the people that have been, the kind of the data cows almost for big tech over the last 4, 5, 6 years, or even longer than that, really, over the last decade or so. So with these kind of micro steps in the space being taken at the moment, and obviously the gamification of the basic social media and MMOs and like movies are really getting into it as well. I've been seeing that the movie industry is really taking a massive leap into Web3 at the moment. So where do you kind of see things going in a micro with the impact and how that's going to be on a more macro scale?
So in terms of macro, I do believe I'm kind of with Gary Vee when he says this. I do believe a lot of the major industries on the planet are going to be moving somewhat into blockchain, whether it's NFTs or whether it is the decentralized side of things, kind of DAOs, right? Decentralized autonomous organizations, and really just democratize a lot of the internet in a sense, right? And that's what Web3 is all about when you really think about it. So we had a Web 1, which was obviously 1991 to probably 2004, which was mainly just read only, right? You go on a web page, it's a lot like Wikipedia, where you just read something, you absorb information, right? Then we had Web 2, which was essentially from 2004 onwards, which essentially was, to put it bluntly, absorbing information from sites, but interacting with them, and then therefore they can absorb information from you at the same time. So it's like it's a two-way street now instead of a one-way street, and that's essentially what we're in right now. Before moving into the Web3 stuff. So what's become of that is generally the monopolization of data, right? So what that means is companies like Facebook and a lot of these social platforms can essentially take your data, use it, kind of sort it in a way that is going to influence you to buy things. And that's essentially what Web3 is going to kind of fix in a way, right? The democratization of the internet again, right? So organizations that run social media might want to use like a DAO instead, where the people, the users, can actually hold a token and then vote on the future of that company, instead of, for example, governments putting pressure on Facebook to censor something or use data, or Facebook getting greedy and using data to make money from you. So yeah, that's essentially the next step. It will take time to get there, and I'm sure we could have a conversation about that, what can really influence and speed up that. But right now it's something where it is pretty bad on the user's side in terms of what they can do and how they're being influenced and manipulated to spend money when they really should be saving it and trying to make money.
Yeah, having that money make money for you, that's the overall goal.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
You mentioned DAOs then. Do you think that with more companies kind of implementing that and building their own kind of social platforms, do you think that DAOs will eventually replace algorithms as a whole, and algorithms will be tailored more towards AI as a whole, so an interactable individual opposed to data sorting kind of space?
Yeah, I think as time progresses, there will be a lot more automation, right? We've seen this, and this is kind of the path of humanity so far. We like to make things more logical, easy, simplistic, and good. That's really what generates value from humanity anyway, right? That's what people like to spend money on. So when we're talking about the automation of things, for example, like social networks and stuff like that, right? And voting to see what happens with certain companies, yeah, I think it will be automated. I feel like there's a lot of building to be done, and that's essentially what's coming over the next few years. People are really finding out what ideas they can implement, and then once they've implemented them and got them working to a point where they can't be corrupted, where you can't have for example, the bad places of the internet, right? That could really be a problem in the automation side, particularly for social media, where you get the drop of oil that spoils the whole pond, and that's that whole project done, right? So yeah, it has to be correct in the way that it's built, and it has to be somewhat community driven. And also there's the side of it where bots could really affect something, where someone has a certain agenda, they could use a bot or use loads of bots. We see this a lot on Twitter anyway, right? But this is something that blockchain is not typically immune to just yet. So there's a lot of building to be done, but it's definitely a step in the right direction, just to put it in the most simple form.
Yeah, definitely. Like we said earlier, cybersecurity is a super important aspect of really the internet as a whole. But as blockchain becomes more mainstream and all of these kind of new like softwares and new avenues come out for the internet to travel around, it's becoming more and more apparent. So I'm not super clicked about cybersecurity, so I'm not going to try and dive into it loads.
Either.
But I know blockchain as a whole has a pretty sturdy security system kind of built into it, with this kind of, the online ledger, blockchain being, that kind of data filing, confirming that this is that and that is this, which is why it's kind of been used for like data, financial transfers. But do you think that blockchain has a wider scope than just finance, or do you think it's going to be like focused around this, or do you think it's going to grow into more like a data shifting kind of space? to give you an example, how something that I've heard a lot about is like passports being put on the blockchain, you know, dental records, medical records, like this kind of information being stored on the blockchain opposed to a piece of paper in someone's drawer.
Yeah, I think that's a promising idea. I think eventually it will be implemented. Passports, yes, I think it's fantastic. That should definitely go ahead sooner rather than later. I think with all of these things, there's a chain in terms of the production and making sure there's no fraud in that production, because you don't want to have a fake passport somehow make it onto the blockchain, something like that, right? So yeah, there's definitely a chain that needs to be managed, and ironically, the blockchain, if you can fulfill the whole thing as the blockchain, then yeah, it's going to be great. So from birth, you're on the blockchain. That'd be fantastic. And I do believe it will go that way over the next 10 years. But again, you've got to manage corruption. You've got to manage all of these things with that as well. The other thing here is voting, right? So we're talking about democracy. If you're voting and that's all on the blockchain, that's going to be fantastic. But again, you've got to go up that ladder and up that tree to see where, down to the roots of that tree to see where essentially the corruption may lie, and root that out from its core, I guess.
Yeah, which is the way that decentralization is meant to be sorting this out. And what blockchain is really meant to be able to implement is taking away that ability for someone to go, no, this one is a zero, or there's 3 or 4 extra zeros coming into my account today.